So it is 6:30. We will call the Monday, August 12, 2024 regular city council meeting to order. If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, with that, do we have any additions to the agenda?
I have no additions, Mayor.
All right, I'll look for motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. With that, we will move to public comments. If there's anyone who would like to discuss anything that is not on the agenda, please come forward. And seeing none, we will close public comments and move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, I'll look for motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. With that, we will move to business item, consider adoption of resolution of findings of fact and order issued under the Mayor City Code, Chapter 93. With that, Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're arriving at an unfortunate situation over at Agave Mexican Restaurant. Since September of 2023, there's been an on-again, off-again issue with the trash collection at the business. In the back, they had a couple of dumpsters, one for regular garbage, the other for recycling. And in September of 2023, I'd sent them a letter where I'd been working with Alicio. We were emailing back and forth, text messaging on the matter, and he was being very prompt and responsive. Had brought to attention that trash, like in the photo here, it was heaping up. It was the lid was over the top, and there was trash along the dumpster, along the sides. And he had made some promises to have that taken care of, and here and there it would be. He had proposed putting in bigger dumpsters to allow for greater accumulation before disposals. That did not come to fruition. And so it came to the point where I had sent him a letter in September, which gave him ultimatum similar to what we're looking at today. But then it entered a period for quite a while where it was stretches of doing okay, and then it would fall into a state of disrepair again. Then I would send a letter again, and then it would get cleaned up, and it was back and forth, back and forth. But recently, it has now entered a state where garbage is out in the open and accumulating. And then as of a little over a week ago, trash service was removed entirely from the site. The service hauler Republic Services took their dumpsters away due to non-payment. And so there are no longer any services for trash on site. And so the trash has now been accumulating in this open air pull behind trailer that you can see that is located behind the building. And as of today, it's heaped up even more. It is suspected that there is trash in this pull behind as well as in an accessory structure, a small shed to what would be to the right of this. It is suspected, however, we cannot see the inside, and we only have speculation on that. So letters were sent to Alicio giving him until Friday of last week to have everything taken care of. Otherwise, this matter would be brought before City Council for reconciliation. And so it was not taken care of as of Friday. So we are now here before City Council with the resolution before us, which spells out the details of what I just went over, the findings of fact, that a nuisance still exists. So the way this works is he was given the due date to have it cleaned up, and what that due date is for is if he cleans it up by then it doesn't go to City Council. So in the resolution, you will see he has until August 16th to have it cleaned up. The extra time is because by council now making the edict, we want to ensure we're observing due process in our U.S. Constitution. Even though it is trash, we do not simply take items as a government entity. That is not a power you want to give a government entity to take it willy-nilly. So we have until August 16th to have the trash removed. If not, then we will have Public Works or a hired contractor go in and have that trash removed. We will likely have Waste Management deposit a dumpster. Trash will be put in that, and then will then be taken away, and the charges and time and effort of which will be billed back to Alicio. If that bill is not paid, then we would go to collections first and then assessing that cost to the property as a result.
All right, thank you. And just for the record, the business owner is not in attendance tonight, so we won't have the comments from him. So with that, I'll look for a motion to approve Resolution 2024-11.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. That will move to council reports. Councilmember Elkins report.
Nothing new at this time.
Councilmember McNeely.
Nope.
Councilmember Fausch.
Nope.
And I have nothing to report on myself as I have not had any meetings. I do have an upcoming meeting on Wednesday with the city administrator and maybe to talk about some development in Fieldstone or potential developments. So we'll have more to update then. So with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We are adjourned. So with that, we can jump right into the workshop. We'll call the meeting, the workshop to order and go into the 2025 budget update.
Thank you, Mayor. It's going to be a quick update tonight, a handful of changes. Again, like we had talked about, we're going to keep doing budget updates pretty much every council meeting unless we absolutely have no reason to, biting off small chunks as we approach our budget deadlines in September and in December. For this go around, the changes we have in here is a small adjustment to the general property tax amount that was increased by $3,116, and that's to ensure the final number remains balanced. Now, the reason why is I'm going to skip a little bit lower here. When we get down to fire protection pension expense, I received the 2024 for 2025 statewide volunteer firefighter report from PARA, and that's the report that comes out about this time of year, which tells us what contribution amounts we have towards the relief or the fire department's retirement fund. And once again, we saw there was a contribution. As I had stated before in my discussions last year, I was under the impression this would be a 1 year off repayment. However, in discussions with PARA, received an email back from them at 4 p.m. today. When I inquired about this, this will be an ongoing item into the future as this gets repaid. Our total liability outlay, I also asked what would it take to pay it off in one go to get us, because the reason we're making these payments is because back in 21, when the stock market took a downturn, the assets of the State Board of Investment took a hit. Mayor specifically were in that 21 to 22% asset decrease. So when that happens, we're no longer 100% funded with the plan. So we dropped down to that mid 70s, and now with this, we're back up into the 80s. So we're slowly climbing our way back up, waiting to hear back from how long this will take place. But to become fully funded, if we were to pay it off in one go, the response I got was that would take $218,808 to pay that back. I did not have enough time between 4 p.m. and now to do the financial analysis to see if that was feasible. I think that would be something we take a harder look at in 2025 as we see the close of 2024. We do have some things going for us in 2024. Building permit revenue is much higher than expected. We also have the payments for the cell tower that came in, the back payments, as well as revenue coming in that we did not budget for. So it'd be nice to take a full look at that. Also in 2025, we have a final payment on the 2015 A note. And so the reason why that comes into play is when you take out bonds that affect the general fund, typically what you do is you levy 105% or an extra 5% of the payment. And the idea in that is the city never receives 100% of its tax revenue in one year because people don't pay taxes some years. But in other years, payments come back in. So you never quite get 100%. And so the extra 5%, when you levy it, ensures that the bond payment will always have enough money. The end result being after 15 years of bond payments, or 10, 15, however long the note is, there is usually leftover funds in the bond fund, and then those can be reallocated elsewhere. So want to get a fuller look at that before we go making any snap decisions on what we would like to do. That being said, included the number back in, that's $35,010 for 2025. So bringing back that in, that's where the adjustment up top came up here. And then also as an initial thought for balancing that out to make sure we're not upping the levy when we take a look at it, the EDA had requested to go from 50 to 75. That was before I knew of the para amount. My recommendation would be keep it at 50 for this year. Future years, it can always be increased, but we want to make sure we're staying flat at that. We'll still be giving out grant money. It just won't be up to the 75 that they requested on there. Other changes in the budget under software support. This was originally going to be going up to $8,000. I removed that back down to $6,000 because as I was looking at things, we have a subscription service that started 3 years ago, and that was for some agenda management software. That was prior to my arrival, and it would digitize the process and more of a centralized way. It's a type of service I used when I was with the city of Marshall, but in looking at what it offered, it is not something that we need. Our agenda packet process I handle just fine, so that's no longer needed, so we won't be renewing it, and that was about $3,500 a year. We were locked in for 3 years, but this year is year 3 of 3, so that's coming out. This number could potentially even drop a little bit more, but we'll slide into that as we hit year end. So adjustment there. Other than that, that is the adjustments to the budget. No changes to the utility funds, EDA. That is adjusted to compensate. It was at 75 before, but bringing it back down to 50 and just balancing that all back out. So that is the short and sweet budget update. Next meeting, we're going to be taking a closer look at the CIP, going through that a bit more, just to make sure everybody understands that front, touch a little on debt service, and continue our work. Any questions on any of these changes?
Nope, none for me. Looks good. Any other questions? All right, anything else, Nick?
Nope, that is all I have for today.
And we will adjourn.
Sweet. Thanks, Nick.